Okay, today is Tuesday, February 18th, 2020. We are trying to get back into regular order after chaos last week when I wasn't able to be here Thursday and Friday. It came at a bad time because we were preparing for a test. So now here we are into the next week when we should be moving on to a new chapter, tidying up chapter 7 and giving you one more day to make sure that you're ready for the test tomorrow. This is the information I got when I wasn't here, that when you did the review at the end of chapter 7, more than half of you missed number 1. When you write an equivalent ratio and you put 1 as the denominator, you're making it how many per 1 or per unit, so we call that the unit rate. If 12 cookies cost 60 cents, what's the unit rate? 1 cookie cost equals. If 12 cookies, we can do this in our head because we know our times tables. If 12 cookies cost 60 cents, what would the unit rate per cookie be? 5 cents. 12 over 60 equals 1 over 5. 12 cookies, 1 cookie. 60 cents, 5 cents. Unit rate, that is taking whatever your information is and getting it down to how much for 1. Got it? 3 hours down to 1 hour. If you went 180 miles in 3 hours, how many miles per 1 hour? 60. Also, it says that more than half of you missed number 3.
Oh, I got that.
Theoretical probability of an event is the rate. Well, first of all, is the ratio of the number of favorable to possible. So if I'm looking for how many odd numbers are going to come when I roll this die, favorable outcomes would be 3 to possible outcomes 6. So theoretical probability would be that there's a 3 out of 6 chance it's going to be an odd number. 1/2, 50%. Also, number 7, more than half missed. 286.8 meters per minute. How many per second? What would I have to do? I got to set up a proportion, an equivalent fraction ratio, 286.8 per minute, and now they want to know per second. Well, how did I go from minutes to seconds? What do I have to divide by? 60. So your job was to take that 286 and divide by 60 because a minute is 60 seconds. So to get to 1 second, you have to divide by 60. You understand? So you should have gotten 4.78.
I rounded up.
So if you got something like 4.78, but not exactly, that's better because at least you knew how to do it. Raise your hand right now if you do not understand unit rate. It's making it equal to 1 or 60 seconds to 1 second. You're creating equal fractions. Proportions are equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are equivalent ratios. Can I move on?
Yeah.
Number 8. It was reported that more than half got wrong. 4.2 inches per month. How much in a year? Let's say you live in a place that gets 4.2 inches of precipitation per month. How much would that be in a year? Well, a year is how many months? So to go from 1 month to a year, I had to multiply by 12. So I multiplied 4.2 times 12. What'd you get?
50.4.
50.4. That was number 8. Stop the extra chatter. Test this tomorrow. I cannot delay it anymore. Does everybody understand what we're doing here? You have to understand that you're going from minutes to seconds, 60 seconds down to 1, divide by 60. You're going from months to years, 1 month to 12 months, multiplied by 12. It was reported that number 12 was missed by more than half. N over 12 equals 7/8. Whenever you have equivalent fractions, cross products must be equal. So 12 times 7 has to equal 8 times n. So 84, n has to be 84 divided by 8. Right? Listen, cross products have to equal, so 8 times n has to be the same as 84. So I would divide by 8. And you should have gotten 10.5. 10.8. That was number
Oh, yeah, that's what I had. Oops, I said
12.
but I have to.
Number 15. 200.2 is 65% of what number? 200.2 is 65% of what number? Here's the way I suggest you do it. Write it as it's in translated. 200.2 is 65% of something. Of means times. How do I write 65% as a decimal? How do I get rid of the 0.65? I fear that we're having trouble dividing. You got to move this 2 places. So you got to move this 2 places. So it ends up being an extended long division problem, but you should be able to do that. What do you get? 308. Now look, this is what we're concerned about. You're either going to do your computation right or not when it comes to the test. I can sit here and do division problems all day, and I can't do it for you on the test. What I can do though is say, look, this is number 12. 202. Why did I write equals? Because the word is. Why did I multiply here? Because they use the word of. Why did I use 0.65? Because that's the same as 65%. Stop there. Does anyone not understand that 0.65 is 65%? Of what number? That's what I want to know. David.
So you divide by.
David, we're going back to, look, you guys sometimes are asking me questions that are going back to this. How do you get rid of the 2, David? So how do you get rid of the 0.65?
Well, okay, so you can divide 200.2 by 0.65.
Yes, sir.
Yes. David, do you understand that I'm a little miffed because we're going back to you're not understanding how do you get rid of something next to a variable. You divide by that. Number 17. 1.7 is what percent of 340? Okay, this one's a little different. 1.7 is what percent of 340? 1.7 is what part of 340? Listen to me. 1.7 is what part of 340? If I was to translate, I would put 1.7 over 340, which means 1.7 divided by 340. 1.7 is what percent? Listen to me, Dina. Is a fraction the same as a percent? Yes. So when I read 1.7 is what percent of 340, I also read that, Sydney. 1.7 is what? Part of 340. And what part of 15 is 3? It's 1/5. 3 is what part of 15? 1/5. 3 is what percent of 15? 20%, if I would translate the fraction into a percentage. So 1.7 is what part of 340? What percent of 340? I would have to go 1.7 divided by 340. Everybody got it? Sure. The answer was 0.5%, because when you do this, you're going to get 0.005. 0.5. When we change it to percent, it's going to be 0.5%. Number 15. That was 15. That was 17. Number 21. 29 over 20. It's a division problem. The fraction bar is a division side. So you end up with 1 and 9/20. You have to figure out what's 9/20 as a percent. 9/20 is 45%. So, or you could have just done this. 29 over 20, what would it be over 100? Change that fraction to a percent. Change it to per 100. Multiply by 5. Multiply by 5. 145 per 100%. You get the same thing here. 145%. Number 26. You're a business person. You get the item for $22.40. You mark it up 60%. How much you going to sell it for? You got to find 60% of $22.40. What'd you get, Spence?
$35.84.
What number? I'm really confused.
You're confused on this one?
No, I wonder what number we're on.
We're on 26. 22.40. Stop, please. How much you going to sell it for if your markup has to be 60%? You got to do 60% of 22.40.
That's it.
Why did I write 0.60? Because that's
60%.
so when I multiply this, then whatever I get, I got to add to the 22.40 because I'm increasing the price. Right, Isaac? A markup is an increase. I have to do that or I won't have a business. Multiply that by 60%. Whatever you get, add it to your 22.40. I also showed you a shortcut. You can multiply and then add, or you can get it all done in one shot.
One shot.
Because if you're going to add the 60% to the 22.40, you can just multiply it by 22.40 plus the 60%, 1.60. If you don't understand that, multiply it and add it on.
That's an easy concept. Why did that?
You could get it done with just one multiplication step. Since you know you're going to increase it, you're going to take the 22.40 and add the 60% to it. So you can get it done in one shot. But if you don't understand that, 60% of 22.40, whatever you get, add the 22.40. And Spencer says
$35.84.
should have gotten $35.84. Nope. Zacchaeus.
So if you own a business,
Okay,
a store.
can't do that right now because we got to get the computations. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, and I would like to go into a big thing about owning a store, but we got to get these done. David. Well, I guess I could, but 28's the one that most missed. 27, David. Now it's going to be a discount. You got to find, David, follow me, 32% of 21.25. David, how do you find 32% of that?
Well, okay, yeah.
Okay, now whatever you get, David, whatever you get when you multiply, are you going to add it to or subtract it?
Okay. I'll do it.
Because it's a discount. If you want my shortcut, Isaac, since it's a decrease, and I'm going to find out what 32% of it is and then subtract it, I'd get it done in one shot by multiplying it by 68%.
What?
Don't worry about it.
I
Multiply, we're on number 27. You're going to multiply it by 0.32 because that's 32%. Noah. Then you got to subtract it because it's a discount. My shortcut was, if you're getting 32% off, how much are you paying? 68%. So you can get that problem done in one step.
Oh.
Number 28, more than half of you missed. Your principal is 460, your annual rate is 3.5%. You had your book available to you, so you had this available to you. Right? So if your principal, this is 28. If your principal is 460 and the rate is 3.5%, so this is 4, oops.
Is this going on with that? This is this one.
They're all written together, so it's multiplication.
Mm-hmm.
Now raise your hand and ask me why I wrote 0.035. Why did I write 0.035 when the question says the rate is 3.5%? Why did I write 0.035? 3.5% to change to a decimal is 0.035. And they tell you in the example that it's 3 years. So it's 460 times 0.035 times 3. That's going to be your interest is going to be your principal times your rate times time. And they tell you at the directions that it's 3 years.
So you just 0.035 times 460 and then whatever you get that you multiply it through?
Yes.
Okay.
David, P times R times T.
We're getting the third from.
Where do I get the what?
It's 3 from 40
3 years.
times. Oh.
Says the interest earned in 3 years.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Number 29, same thing. You're going to take 1540 times 0.0275 times 3. Noel, you paying attention? Number 30, she says over half the class missed.
What number? Cookies. I'm gonna make cookies.
$40.50, $22.50. Good job. Number 31. What's the probability that a random zip code ends with a number less than 5? How do you know that? How many digits are in a random zip code? Okay, 5. The probability that the zip code is going to end with a number less than 5. Which digits do they use? 0 to 9. Right? The last digit. We're just focused on the last digit. There's 10 possibilities. Okay, look. If you live in Columbiana here, your zip code's 44408. The question wants you to focus on the last digit. How many possibilities are there for the last digit?
Oh.
How many possibilities? You're not listening.
9.
How many possibilities are there for the last digit?
Oh,
10.
10, because I forgot the 0.
Possible outcomes. This could be anywhere from 0 to 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10 symbols. What's the probability that the number's going to end less than 5? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, it's less than five.
It's just.
Listen, focus.
No.
The question is wondering the probability that the last digit only is going to be less than 5. There's 10 possibilities for that last digit. 10. 5 of the digits are less than 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And lastly, number 33. A number less than 4 is randomly drawn from the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's only 4 numbers in there. What's the probability you're going to pick one less than 4? What? 3/4.
Oh, yeah.
4 possibilities and 3 of them are less than 4. Okay, this is what your test
No, I don't want to see it.
was going to look like.
I will get my butt and fish all day. I'm gonna do it, buddy. Is the video on? Hi, Johnny. Wait. They can see it also. Actually, get me on.
It's not going to work very well.
I sat.
I bet you I can fix it. I bet you I can go copy it and they can see. You can't jump that high.
Don't touch.
I want to go into.
It's not going to work very well.
I feel like, why did you get on it? I'm disappointed. No, put me
Julia, Johnny, and Sawyer all have to download this. All right, here we go. Let's go. We got to move quick. We only got 12 minutes left. All right. Yeah, see what you get. 40 cars sold last month. 12 of the 40 were Ford, 6 were Hondas, and so on. So what do you got to make? You got to make a bunch of ratios. What's your total going to be? What's always going to be your denominator? 40. 40. So you got to make a bunch of fractions, ratios, fractions, put them in lowest terms. And then tackle the last question there. You got 1 minute, 30 seconds without talking. Shh, 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 shh. Just do it. Oh, wait a minute. You're not putting 40 as your denominator. You're comparing, hold on. You're comparing Fords to Chryslers. How many Fords? How many Chryslers? What?
I was.
Yeah. What's your fraction look like? 12 over or unit rate? 3 to 1. They put the unit rate. They always put it in lowest terms. They sold, the ratio of Fords to Chryslers was 3 to 1. Listen, David, if the question said Chrysler to Fords, the answer would be 1 to 3. Somebody out there is glad David said that, because if you put 1 to 3 and get it wrong, you're going to wonder why. It's 3 to 1 because it's Fords to Chryslers. It's 12 to 4. Does that make sense, David?
Yes.
Okay. How about Chevys to Fords? There's 16 to 12. What's that in lowest terms? 4 to 3. Yes, your answer is 4 to 3, lowest terms. 16 to 12, 4 to 3. If you write 3 over 4, it's wrong. That would be the answer to Fords to Chevys. The ratio of Chevys to Fords is 4 to 3. because 16 to 12 reduces to 4 to 3. Hondas to Volkswagens, it's 6 to 2. Again, you're back to 3 to 1. Now, if you put the keys to all those cars, that's where we're going to use 40. If you put the keys to all those cars in a bag, what would be the probability that you choose the key to, and I'm going to scroll down.
Well, if you go with the car from Philip, you just the one you want. Get a whole lot.
Probability, Noah, probability that you would choose a Ford. How many keys are in the bag? 40. How many keys are Ford keys?
12.
12 over 40. Reduce it. Answer would be not 12 over 40. You can leave it right. Oh, no, I want percentage. 12 40ths reduces to 3/10. What percent? 30%. Honda, what's going to be your denominator? 40. There's 40 total keys. How many are Hondas? 6. Your fraction is 6 over 40, which reduces to 3 over 20. Now, I keep talking about mental math. 3 over 20, if you can't compute that in your head, you always make it a percentage by doing this, or 3 divided by 20, or the best thing you can do, young math students, 3/20ths, 1/5. How do I do fifths? I'm sorry, 1/5. No. 3/20ths times 5. 20 times 5 gives me 100. 3 times 5, 15. 3/20ths times 5, 15. How about Chevys? There's 16 Chevys out of 40. 4/10. 40%.
I'm done.
Right, 348 miles per 12 gallons as a unit ratio. Your parents' vehicle, gas tank, holds 12 gallons. They get 348 miles on a full tank of gas. How many miles per gallon? How would I figure it out? I got to make it a unit rate. I want to know how many for 1 gallon. If it's 348 for 12 gallons, how much would it be for 1 gallon? I either, look, 348 times 1 divided by 12, or how do I get from 12 down to 1? I divided by 12. Same thing.
Why don't they just ask, why do you have a ratio?
Write it as a fraction.
Yeah, can you just divide it? I know, but when you divide it, when you divide 12, you have to set it up in you just do it. Can you just
Well, the reason we're having to set it up as a ratio is because we want you to write it as a fraction. It's 29 miles per gallon. That's the way you'll see it written, or they'll just do this. You've seen MPG before, right? No. No.
Yes.
Miles per gallon.
Oh, yeah, I have, sure.
Miles per hour is how fast you're going. But when you're looking at cars, one of the things you want to know before you buy it is how many miles per gallon does it get. You don't want to buy a car, unless you've got a lot of money to spend on gas, that gets like 8 miles per gallon, like some of these big trucks do. Costs a lot of money. Yeah.
You get like 1 mile per half a gallon.
Well, I think you did the same thing. All right, look, 8, 9, and 10. How do I solve for all of these variables, Noah? Cross multiply. 8, Dominic. 8x has to equal 120. 120 divided by 8. 2n has to equal 42. 42 divided by 2. X has to equal 6/5 minus 1/20.
Yeah. What?
What do you mean what?
That isn't that.
How do you get rid of the 1/20? You guys are asking me
You
questions.
gotta change both into 20, and then you gotta change the multiply, same denominator.
Okay, you could do that. Shh, hold on. You could get rid of the fractions by multiplying everything by 20. 20x plus 1 equals,
No, you could just subtract the, subtract 120.
what?
If you change them both into.
Can't you just subtract 1/20 to find out what x is?
Yes.
No?
You have to change it into.
Hey, stop the conversation back, kids, because we're back to the beginning of the class when I got a question like, how do I get rid of 2x equals 8? How do I get rid of the 2? You divide by 2. X plus 1/20. How do I get rid of the 1/20? You subtract 1/20. Oh!
I have a question.
Time's running out. Quick. Shh. Noah's got a question. Thanks, Isaac.
On 10, is it a 1 or is it like an L? I can't tell.
1/20.
No, you're blind.
No, it is.
How do I write 900 as a decimal? 0.9. What's that as percent?
It would be 9%.
9%.
Or that, yeah.
80.85. What's that look like as a percent?
85%.
What's it look like as a fraction?
85.
85 over 100. Should you reduce it?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 17 over 20. You should always reduce. 25% as a fraction. 1/4. 25% as a decimal. 2 places. 0.25.
You broke it.
37.5% as a decimal. Move it 2 places. 0.375. Those of you that have been listening to me, memorizing not just your halves, everybody knows those, your fourths. Memorize your eighths, and you know that 0.375 is
375 over 8. How about
3/8. Otherwise, you'd have to do 375 over 1,000 and keep reducing it. 13/20. 0.65 because 13 over 20 over 100 would be 65%. 0.65. Well, all of a sudden everything's easy now. I guess that's good.
Actually, the test is gonna be like, that's nice.
Yeah, I hope the test is like a 2 times.
really like?
Mr. Franklin, on Friends Web, my mom
Hold
looks
on.
at
56% of 250. Listen,
Yeah, I didn't get one.
how many people identify as conservative? It's 56% of 250. What are you going to multiply 250 by? 0.56. The original amount was 20. The new amount's 14. Did the price for 16? Did the price go down?
Yeah.
How much go down? It went 4 over 20. It went down 1/4. 1/5, it went down 20%. It went from 75 to 100. How much did it go up? 25 over 75. 1/3, 33%. Hold up, unit rate, 8.3 inches. Separate Cleveland and Cincinnati on a map. The scale is 1 to 30. The same ratio, 1 over 30 will be something.
Mr. Frank is ready for this. I actually credit didn't show up on.
Yeah, I keep hearing that, but I thought I put them all in. It should be, what was your test score? What's your score in your now?
Do we have to get still on?
Rick said that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Noah, what are you doing? What?
Take